from school today. Cold.
Cold and warm.
No, I did. I did go to the convenience site and take trash. But I think pharmacy found stuff. Okay.
I've got some DOT controls. Just chopping up the road.
Okay.
For the minutes.
Okay. She said.
All right, we'll open the meeting. I'll ask Commissioner Hopper if she will listen to play.
Let's see. I have a thought. Thank you for all the blessings you said on us individually and collectively, and continue to bless us. To God, I pray for the whole world as we're all in it. We've got 180 some countries affected by this pandemic, and help us stay strong and move forward, and this too shall pass. And help us make sure that we do everything out of our way and make decisions that are wise decisions as we deal with the problems confronting us. And that help to curtail the epidemic, and so we can go back to normalcy. To God, just help us always to be humble in all things, and to be there ready to help those who are less fortunate, and be on the watch for those who might fall through the cracks, and be there to assist them. We ask all these things in thy name, for thy sake. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all to our virtual meeting. We're virtually here. We call the meeting to order. Any agenda adjustments that may have looked at, you may want to call?
Yes, I would like to request that under new business, B, the budget allocation for employee insurance be discussed before the public hearing, because there's an item in the personnel policy that affects the budget allocation.
And that's before we have a public hearing on the personnel ordinance.
Yes,
Correct. All right, any other adjustments? Any comments concerning those pertaining to that? If not, we make that adjustment.
Make motion, we make that adjustment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, put aye.
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 Like sign. Hearing none. We move forward. Okay. The only budget adjustment on the agenda adjustment. Public comments, or any comments?
no, I do not have.
Our next item is consent agenda. Do all understand the consent agenda? And that is that we want to approve or disapprove all items in a single vote.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
this is Jonathan, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we approve all the items on the consent agenda, sir.
The motion to approve.
Second.
Second. You a second? Any?
Okay, yeah, yes.
Second.
Melissa's watching there. She did it.
So Jonathan Jones, Commissioner Jones made the motion, Commissioner Owens second. In discussion.
Agreed.
All in favor, aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye from Commissioner Owens.
Any opposed, like sign?
Aye from Commissioner Riddick.
We got them all, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Motion carries. For the consent agenda. Approval of minutes to be for March 2nd and March 4th, 2020. Okay, all right.
It's all the way down to 5. It's a new format, it's hard to keep up with.
All right, number 5, administrative reports. County manager report, we could, is there a motion to go forward with county manager report, and not having to read that?
I think because this is listening in, we might need to have a report.
Commissioners in favor of that, with the county manager reading?
I mean, that's what we typically do.
Right, but I was thinking consent.
That's not part of the consent.
No, sir.
I didn't hear the statement. I'm sorry. This is Jonathan.
Okay, what we're talking about is the county manager report. Is commissioners in favor of the county manager reading that report?
Yes. Riddick.
Okay,
Yes, Hoffman.
Okay, this is February 21st through April the 2nd. At the historic courthouse, the break room floor is being leveled, and I found out today that it's completed. The certificate of occupancy has been issued. Some items have been moved, but offices have not moved due to waiting on delivery of the copy. The courtroom does not have internet at this time, and another wireless bridge is needed and will need to be installed when funds are available. An update on the wastewater project is that the Rural Center approved the grant closeout on March 23rd, 2020. No response has been received from EDA concerning closeout documents that were mailed. Since the middle of March, many hours have been spent on webinars, conference calls, or watching press conferences related to COVID-19. Gates County deems all employees essential, and therefore employees are still working. Offices, including the courthouse, remain open as some things still require face-to-face interaction, but social distancing is encouraged. Citizens have been urged to call offices instead of coming into the office and to pay online, by telephone, or with the drop box. I would like to thank the employees for the work they have continued doing during this time. Thank you also to citizens who have not come to the building and followed not only the county's request, but followed Governor Cooper's executive orders. On February the 26th, Billy Wynn, Lisa Cherry, and I attended a flood workshop at ECU. Participants brainstormed on flooding risk in our communities, ways to be better prepared, barriers to adequate preparation, response, recovery, and mitigation, as well as economic and health impacts. March 6th, the Central Middle School held its ribbon cutting for the new 8th grade wing. March the 10th, Commissioners Freeman, Hopper, Riddick, and I attended the NCACC meeting in Plymouth. County shared items of interest. NCACC provided updates on various topics. On March the 11th, JCPC met and recommended Genesis and alternatives for use to be funded for fiscal year 21. On March the 12th, the Assistant Secretary Michael Reagan of the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality met with Sheriff Freeman and I to talk about needs the county might have or concerns. One concern mentioned was while grants might be available, many have stipulations that projects must be shovel ready. Rural rural counties might not apply because projects are not shovel ready, as funds are not available to do the project, which is why they would apply for the grant. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, colleagues?
I have one question. This
I have
is,
none.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Riddick?
I see that the certificate of occupancy has been issued. So do we have a date when the move to the offices will take place?
As I said, we're waiting on delivery of a copier, and when I spoke with them, I think it was beginning of last week, because of COVID, a lot of their warehouses and a lot of their truck drivers are not working, and he cannot provide me with the date. We are moving some things tomorrow, but we do not have a date because of the copier.
Thank you, Commissioner Riddick. Any other questions?
I just, like the wastewater, I know we sent in the documentation to EDA. They have not, they have not responded. You think we need to?
No,
Okay.
they responded back, they received it, and that's what he does. The gentleman who we've worked with this at the beginning takes at least 6 months to respond to the paperwork. And it has been, I think, 3 months. So I don't think it's time yet to do anything. I'd wait another month or so, especially with everything that's going on. I know one time he didn't respond because he had been pulled away from his normal duties to help with others, and I don't know if that's the same situation. In the past, we've had to reach out to Butterfield's office, and Mr. Reginald Spade assisted.
So it's still the same individual?
Yes.
I understand the delay.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopper. Any other questions? Hearing none, Mr. Hill on the tax report, please, sir.
Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. I think you should all have a copy of the March tax collectors report. Is that the case?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, good. We had a pretty good month despite the collections, with the COVID and people not coming in and people social distancing. We took in for the month of March $186,943. Additional 27,000. I know Commissioner Owens had mentioned this before about the official payments. We took in almost 27,000 online, so that was pretty good, I thought. We have had a lot of folks come in to prepay for the next tax year. We took in almost $5,400 in prepayments this past month for 21. So that was good for us. Any questions about the tax collector's report?
Any questions, commissioners, as pertaining to the tax report, the revenues?
Has any of the people who are delinquent in taxes showed up? I got it.
You were kind of in and out on that, Mrs. Hoffler. I'm sorry.
Have any of those who are delinquent in their taxes from past years, have they showed up since we've had the listing published?
We've had some. The last, we published the delinquent tax list and the index on the 25th of March. And over the last, I'd say, 2 weeks, we've been very slow as far as folks coming in and making payments. The first part of the month was not busy, but it was decent. But so far, we haven't had a lot of folks coming in to pay their delinquent taxes. They were kind of ramped up before the names got put in the paper. After the paper was published, it hasn't really increased too much. And I wanted to touch on that if I could in regards to the enforced collections. I know in previous years, usually around this time, we start talking about garnishments, wage garnishments, things of that nature. I've spoken with several of you about this with the COVID-19 crisis being upon us, and also with the School of Government. And I don't think, and the commissioners that I've talked to have expressed the same thing. I don't think at this point right now, it would be, I don't know what the word is. It wouldn't be that great to start garnishing wages and foreclosing on properties that aren't already at Zacchaeus. The ones that are at Zacchaeus right now, they are still accruing suit costs and attorney's fees. But at this point, with the economy being like it is and the COVID-19 situation being like it is, I would think that it would be better for us just to, for the next however long this is going to go on, not indefinitely, but to kind of maybe take into consideration some folks that don't have employment, that are having a hard time right now, to maybe kind of hold off on doing wage garnishments and foreclosures on new delinquencies. Or thoughts around that?
That's a good observation.
Yeah, I do too, at this particular time, and, just wait and see how everything plays out.
Commissioners?
Yeah, I think I had made some conversation, Chris, maybe speaking about a conversation I might have had, or an email I might have sent. I'm in agreement with that.
That was Commissioner Owens. Commissioner?
Yes, it was.
This is Riddick. I agree with that assessment of not at this point enforcing collection, but I do think we need to be communicating with the citizens about this, and so that they'll know that we're not going to collect now, but we'll be in contact with them, or some type of plan going forward. So I think some kind of communication should go out from the county about taxes. I don't know how you're going to language it, but they need to know what's going on.
All right, we will, maybe ask the county manager to communicate that with the tax director and see how that can be worded and done, Commissioner. Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Owens. Can you hear me? You can hear me, Mr. Chairman?
We can hear you, yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, I think as far as wording that in the language, I think we would probably get just the direct language that the governor has put out, possibly, so that we're not saying something that's not in agreement with what statute or what rule or order he's put out at this time. So I would say we find out exactly what that wording is, and so we don't have any additional cost to our budget to put that language on our website.
Very well. Any other comments?
And in reaction to that, Mr. Owens, I've seen some verbiage from the school government that addresses that. So I'll do some more research on that and see what I can find as far as maybe getting something, from the governor or from the executive order that might help to alleviate some questions or concerns that taxpayers might have regarding us, kind of taking a back seat for the foreseeable future on foreclosures and wage garnishments.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Jonathan here. I think what Dr. Riddick said is very appropriate right now, or Commissioner Owens, both of them. The CARES Act and the executive orders from the governor has really been strong against the collection of delinquent accounts, and the way that things can be reported over the next few months. So I think I agree with you, Chris, definitely that's something that we should not collect, but we still got to be diligent, like Dr. Riddick stated, in regards to our communication, still sending the letters, but not pursuing as hard, because we don't want to get in a bind from taking somebody's money that we couldn't have done.
Any other comments? Concerns?
The only other thing that I would like to say, I know we had talked through a kind of a group email a week and a half ago, where it was the tax department's error. Taxpayer's name got put into the index for delinquent taxes, and it wasn't their property. And we talked about different ways of handling that. As of, I think it was last Monday, I sent an apology letter from the tax department on behalf of us, the board commissioner, saying that we apologize. It was our mistake. It was going to be too costly for us to actually run an actual ad in the paper to state that. So on behalf of the tax department and the county commissioners and the county manager, that letter has been sent, and Natalie reviewed it and Mr. Owens reviewed it, and they should have that by now. And I haven't heard anything else out of the taxpayer. So hopefully our apology and sincerity satisfy the taxpayer, and we've made the corrections in our system so that won't happen going further.
That's a good move to do that. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, it's Jonathan here, sir.
Yes, sir.
If I may, first off, thank you, Commissioner Owens, for bringing that to the attention of the entire board, and getting the tax administrator to look into that. But Mr. Chair, is it possible to take it a step further other than what Chris has done? I know we're in different times right now, and we're on Zoom and on the phone and in different places, with the exception of you two. Would it be possible to mention the taxpayer's name, since we publicly put their name in the newspaper and printed it, and on the live stream, say who it was and just apologize for our mistake? Would that be appropriate?
That's a good question. I don't know if we want to advertise an address. Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, I can speak to that maybe. This is Commissioner Owens. I did reach out again as a follow-up and made a phone call to the family that we're talking about in the situation. And they were very happy that we were taking the action that we did take. And I told them that if they wanted me to, that at our next meeting, not talking about the Zoom meeting, but told them that if they wanted me to publicly state that at the meeting, that I would be glad to do that, to make a statement that we made an error, which Chris just did. But also if they wanted me to mention their name, that I would be willing to do that publicly. And they said that they would, if they chose to do that, they would get back with me. So Commissioner Jones, I understand, you're wanting to possibly make that public so that they are, their reputation is restored somewhat, I guess. But I did offer that, and they have not called back and said, please do that. So I think maybe we'll go with that approach at this time. Would be my thoughts.
I'm okay with that. I just, that was just one concern that I had. Thank you, Jack.
Sure.
And my opinion on that is the same. I was kind of under the impression that if it was myself that was put in that situation, I would probably not want to create any further attention for myself or my family, in the public. It was a mistake. We took care of it on a personal level, and if they're fine with the letter we sent, and if they're happy, I think this is the right thing to do.
Well, any additional comments? Commissioner Owens, thank you for stepping forward on that and having that conversation with them. And I know you will let us know if they change their mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, any departmental reports? Fine. Ma'am.
Can't see her.
Yeah, I was gonna say finance. Yeah, so thank you. Kim, are you, Kim Ivan, our finance director? Good evening.
You're muted, Kim.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for her? No one was prepared to give a report because no one had submitted any questions.
All right, I saw that Kim had submitted, the report in our booklet. Any questions as pertaining to that? And Kim, we want to thank you as commissioners for preparing this, because this is something that I have not seen as a commissioner ever, with the, financial report, naming the banking institutions and the audit trail and what have you. Any questions or comments about what, Ms. Ivory has supplied?
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Owens. If we were at a regular meeting, I would probably have more to say about this, but it might get a little complicated with us trying to do it on this Zoom, especially being it's the first time I'm participating in it. But I do appreciate all the documentation and everything, and I may even hold my notes until the next meeting or stop by and see Ms. Outland. But thank you for presenting it the way you did.
And Commissioner Owens and Commissioner, have we ever had a report like this? I do not recall seeing one in my year.
I don't believe I've seen it before either.
Thank you for that initiative. You have questions for us?
I actually used a template that I think the prior finance officer, when Sandy was here, Sandy Pittman was here, I used her template. So I think she was doing some reports at one point for the commissioners.
Maybe at budget time, possibly.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I don't, any questions, Commissioner Riddick, Commissioner Jones?
Not at this time.
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Move forward, and now we'll go into the public hearing.
No, we're doing that budget. Agenda. Change that requested.
Oh, okay, all right.
And the reason I asked for this is because it deals with a statement that is in the personnel policy, which is under old business. The old business is to review, or there's a public hearing to see if we're going to repeal the personnel ordinance. If you repeal the personnel ordinance, then you must approve the personnel policy, or it will not be any sort of rules or regulation that county employees must follow. And during the review today, while I was going back over and preparing, the employee benefits section of the proposed personnel policy states the county pays the entire cost of health insurance for full-time employees unless dictated otherwise by the medical insurance provider wellness program. And I had asked for you to look at the insurance options that we were presented for fiscal year 21. Because when Christy and I were discussing and talking about what to anticipate, we were anticipating a 15% increase. The first quote that came back to us was 35%. So Christy went back and asked the insurance broker Peer Street to provide us with some other options. So what I sent you were the three options that were given to us. The first option is a 31% increase, option 2 is a 22% increase, and option 3 is a 15% increase over what we currently pay. We currently pay $589, the full amount for the employee. The 15% increase is $679.68. The most the county has ever paid in the past was $629. Option two was $723.68. I mean, not percent, $723.68. And then option one, which is the same plan that we currently have, would go from $589 to $774.68. There's almost a $200 increase to keep the same plan. So with the situation that we have on hand, that was the reason I had asked, do you want to continue paying the full amount for the employees? You want to pay a percentage? We can offer all three options. If you select, I'm just going to go with option three for the, since it's least expensive at the moment. If the county says we're going to pay the $679.68 per employee, we can offer options, the other two options, and the employee would be responsible for paying the difference. Or the county could decide they want to pay the full amount for option one, and that be the only option, or option two, and that be the only option. I know in the past, typically, that's a decision that we've made internally, because it's not been such a big jump, and because of all the other external factors that are coming into play. But after Chrissy and I talked, and Kim and I talked some, I told Chrissy, because she's been the one talking to the insurance company, that I felt like I wanted to come to you to give you and let you see all the options and help make a decision about what needs to be done.
Now, let me make sure that we all understand. So option one goes from 500 something to $678.68. Roger that.
I'm sorry.
So option one is a 15%.
Right, at this far end, correct.
So are they going from 500 to 678.68?
The insurance we pay now is $589, right, and it's going to the $679.68 with option three, which is a $5,000 deductible. And this is the last thing that's in your package, this email. I believe it's the last thing that's in your package.
And, but option three, of course, there is they don't get the same.
Right, it's not the same package or anything, that's why I gave this to you ahead of time, so you could look over everything. Because there are some major differences with option three. So like I said, I would.
Yeah, if you look at the grade areas, those are the changes, right, Natalie? From our current plan.
Correct. And as you can see right now, there's 72 people who take county insurance.
Natalie, to be clear, right now, the county is paying $555,012 a year for insurance for those 72 county employees. Is that correct?
Yes, whatever the 72 times the 589 is, and my computer's decided it's not a lot on the spreadsheet, so hold on.
Okay. Now, and anybody that has dealt with health insurance, that's only going up across the board, unfortunately. My question is, have our insurance group, are they coming in and discussing the benefits or the importance of something as simple as a copay, or the county's part? You know, somebody stumps their toe and they think they need to go to the emergency room when they could have gone to the urgent care and saved a lot of money. Has the importance of stuff like that been discussed to these 72 employees, before, they're hit with a possible $72,000 increase for taxpayers for our annual premium? Didn't know if, our insurance group did that kind of informational sessions to staff.
they can come and they send in brochures, they, talk to people whenever we do, my mind's not right, I was gonna say open enrollment, but not open enrollment. Group meetings, and we're not doing a group meeting this year, like we've done some years, but they send out communications, and yes, we send out communications and remind people, like you said, if you stump your toe, don't go to the ER. If it's something you can take care of at your regular doctor, or even an urgent care, do that instead of the emergency room. And we've even talked about that the other week, or a couple weeks ago when we got this quote. We discussed that again with Pierce Group, and they sent some more information, and that information is shared to encourage people to use the teledoc, use your primary care doctor, all of that information again.
So the Pierce Group is educating the 72 folks, is what you're saying. That was my biggest concern. That, you know, I know there's sometimes that you're going to fall and bump your head and have to go to the emergency room, and you know sometimes you'll stump your toe, but you don't really need to go to the emergency room. So that was one of my biggest questions. Thank you for that info.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well, the way, this is Commissioner Owens, the way I address this is, you know, we're dealing with, budget issues. We love our employees, and we talked, at our special meeting when we, you know, talked about things about the personnel policy, whatever. We talked about, you know, what are the benefits when you're employed with Gates County? What do we offer to attract good employees and retain good employees? So I first of all tried to, you know, wrap my head around that conversation that we had at our special meeting. And then I went down, and if I could get everybody to look at the annual premiums, Commissioner Jones referred to $555,012 is our annual premium. If you look at the other, you know, that's going away. So we really don't need to focus on that that much, except when we're talking about how much more money we have to come up with. So if we go to the far right column to option 3, we've got to come up with that dollar amount, $637,679, which is almost $100,000 more money that we've got to come up with somewhere. And county manager, you know, we've cut. It's going to be hard to find that $100,000, and that being the lowest one. And then I want you to think about the monthly premium of $774 for the best plan going forward. And then the plan with, that's the least dollar amount, $679. We're talking about $95 difference a month per employee. I think maybe part of our questioning here that we should be asking ourselves, we do want to retain our employees. We do want to draw new people that are interested in working for the county and give them a reason to be interested as a benefit. But we've got to think about what do we think we'll do in 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or the next year. And when I was talking to some other commissioners during the week, trying to come up with some ideas about this, you know, if we know that we're going to do something like this 2 years down the road, or we're going to have to do it a year, maybe next year, it may be time for us to consider doing a sharing cost with our employees on this. And I'm just bringing that up as a point of conversation, not saying that's what we should do, but if we did, I've done some math here, Mr. Chairman, and if we did an 80-20 plan on option one, that would put our employees paying $154 a month. On the plan two, $144 a month. And on option three, $136 a month. You know, we don't want to take away, we don't want to wait 4 years or 5 years and say, you know, we've got to do 50-50. We need you to pay half of this. And we could find ourselves in that situation in 4 or 5 years. I mean, we can't predict the future, but if we could do something now to keep us from having to go to where the employee has to pay 50% of the premium, I think we should at least consider that, county manager and board members. I think we have to throw all these things on the table for consideration, because you know there are more things that are going to come up that we don't know about now, that we don't have the option of knowing about, because we don't know what the surprises are. So I'd like for us to keep our minds open. I hate to be so long-winded on this topic, but and you know, when you look at the monthly premium, on the 80-20 plan, just to tell you what those numbers are, on the option one, the monthly premium would go from 60,000 to 44,000. I'm not going to use the smaller numbers. Well, I'll tell you, it's $44,640. So that would be $16,000 difference a month. On option two, the new monthly premium would be $41,688. And on option three, it would be $39,096. So the savings to the county would be like 14,000 on one, 15,000 on another one, and 16,000 on the other. Confused you, didn't I?
Jack, what was the first number you threw out?
$44,640 a month would be the monthly premium for option one.
And option two was 41,688. Is that right?
Correct.
Thanks, sir.
And then 39,096.
Good work, Commissioner Orr. Looking for other options.
Yeah. And then that, I'm sorry.
Just cut me off, Jack.
Mr. Hopper was.
Okay.
What I was saying.
And it's
I know that a lot of people in private business, they do have cost share with their employees. And a lot of them do 80-20, or at different ratios, because of the expense.
But that's a good
Usually they have two choices. They can do 70-30 or 80-20.
And I did not do the numbers, Althea, on 70-30, no particular reason, but I didn't do those. Natalie, I'd like to ask you a question, just clarification.
Okay,
On your, this was an insert into our packet where you said action needed at Board of Commissioners meeting. It says there, county pay for the lowest plan and employee pays the difference if they want another plan. And you put, this is what the state does currently.
if it was 80-20 or 70-30, that wasn't the percentage that they pay. They do not have a plan. The current plan we have right now, and that's option one. It's 100%. It's your deductible is 100%. The others are either an 80-20 plan after your deductible or a 70-30, and that's what the state offers. They offer an 80-20 plan, and you pay a certain percentage or they offer the 70/30, and the state currently, from what I still understand, they still pay the full cost. But if you choose the 80/20 plan, you pay something.
Okay. Now, you know, when I was saying 80/20, to make sure you understood me, I was not talking about the benefit level. I was talking about the premium share. Okay.
But no, they did say that if you wanted to offer, because that is not something that I had put on here, but they had said if you wanted to offer all three plans, you can. Chrissy had said it might be a little more complicated at times, but she said she was willing to work it out and do what needed to be done.
Okay, so that's good. That is good to know. That's a little unusual, because most companies want to keep it simplified. But if we did something like where the county pays 80% of the premium and the employee pays the 20% of the premium, and they had the option to choose one of these three plans, you know, that allows them to still have choice. So if we could do that, that would really be stepping out there and making a good offer.
That would be very important, I agree.
Now, I will say that Kathy Maxfield, who is the person who works with us from Pierce Creek, she did say she did not recommend option 3 for the simple fact that it has a $5,000 copay. Deductible, not necessarily because it's 70/30, but I did remind, she said typically it's hard to get away from a $5,000 deductible, but I did remind her that when we had Cigna, we had a $5,000 deductible.
I recall that. You know, some people would make the decision if they had three options, Natalie. Some people would make it purely on a premium decision. And sometimes you sort of need to protect people from doing themselves harm to themselves. So that does make sense. If maybe we just offered like renewal option 1 and renewal option 2.
Well, and I know that amongst a couple of us about how some of us never meet the $2,500 deductible.
Right.
So we didn't mind the $5,000 deductible. So once again, I think it depends on your situation, and it doesn't matter about if anyone, even though I think most of us know, anything over family, if you're a spouse, the children or family plans, that cost is picked up by the employee already.
Natalie, this
Yes.
this sheet that we have has 72 employees enrolled.
Right.
How many county employees do we currently have?
I have to put it up, but there are several who do not take it because they're on their spouse's insurance, or because they are retired from the military or from a federal job and they have other insurance.
So right now, if I'm hired and single, the county will pay $589 for employee only for my insurance.
Correct.
Okay, let's say that my wife has a great job and I want to be on her insurance, and I don't want the county, I don't want to go with Pierce Group, what the county has to offer. So that employee, am I correct to assume loses that that $589 is just nowhere? Is that correct? Just a savings to the county?
Correct.
They actually have to sign a waiver, I believe, right, Natalie?
Yes, there's a paper that they sign saying they realize that they are foregoing this benefit from the county, and there's no monetary, they receive no monetary reward or supplement for not taking it.
And looking at this, if I may continue, we're talking, and Commissioner Owens, I applaud your math, and I know you have a little expertise in this stuff, but just looking back at this sheet, we've got 72, but 65, only 65, or excuse me, out of 72, 65 are doing employee only. So there's only 7 folks doing the biggest ones.
Well, we only need to be concerned about the 589 figure because that's the only one that the employer pays.
That's right. So can we, and I know you're talking the options, would it be easier, Natalie, for the county to offer both, well, offer option 1 and 2 and just take 3 off the table because, you mentioned the $5,000 deductible? Would it make sense to give county employees, instead of the commissioners choosing option 1 or 2, um, would it make more sense, do you think, to your employees or, the county employees to give them a couple of options?
I think if they're gonna be asked to pay for their insurance, I think based upon a few discussions that's been had in the past and just listening to people, that they would want an option, especially if it's basically $145 a month or $155 a month for the option 1 and option 2. Because option 1 is the same insurance they have now, then option 2 is the 80/20.
It's a $10 difference, right?
Right, it's $10 difference a month out of.
Yeah, the difference in option 1 and option 3 is $18 a month difference. If the employee were paying 20%. I mean, that being the difference between the 2 premiums. Natalie, I know you were hoping that we would make a decision tonight,
Well,
probably.
Well, open enrollment is starting on May 12th.
May 12th?
Yes, sir, and they have to print books, so I have to know at least what options to put in there. And they'll have to know if they're gonna pay something, because that will
Right.
also.
Because this is gonna be in effect, so it can go up, decide because to get make sure there's no problem covered.
Natalie, is anybody, to your knowledge, has anybody ever taken a sheet like this and distributed it to the employees and asked them to select a preference so that they're not bound to? Of course, what would you do? Would you go with a majority or?
No, we've not done that.
I think give them 2 options and let them decide, we'll pay, what we pay, and then if they want the advantage, the higher price, they pay the difference.
Yep. Natalie, if we were to, following up on Ms. Hoffler's comments, would we be required to say a percentage, or could we say $600 a month we would pay?
That would be up to.
You think we could do either one rather than call it a percentage?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Riddick, I'd like to ask you a question if I put you on the spot.
Go ahead.
You've been with the state for 2 or 3 years, I believe you've said in the past.
A couple, yeah.
A few years ago, didn't the state change their health insurance where employees had to go choose 80/20, 70/30? Wasn't there some big changes that were made a few years ago, if I recall correctly? Is that right?
That's correct. And it was they communicated, so we understood, and we had like a website. The HR department was available to explain it and walk us through it. But the choice was yours, and the cost was very transparent as far as whether 70/30 or 80/20. and the benefits. And then it had like I said, like almost like a list of other benefits you could choose on your own and pay out of your own pocket, because like dental wasn't included, things like that. But that was nominal. But they gave us choices of what we wanted, either seven. If you didn't do anything, you stayed with 70-30. You had to choose if you wanted to, if you wanted to change, you had to change it to 80-20. But 70-30 was the floor.
And there was some cost, there was some added cost to
It
that
was.
that hadn't been applicable before, right?
That's correct. But it was
Gotcha.
nominal.
Well, Jack, do you think if, since we're talking about options, should we not just offer all the options if we're gonna let them pick?
Well, a comment was made, I think I understood it earlier, you know, that if you're a healthy person and you've got a 5-year, 6-year history of never meeting your $2,500 deductible, there's some merit to take into consideration. Well, if I'm never going to meet my deductible, why don't I move my deductible up to 5,000?
Right.
So, and as Natalie stated a few years ago with Cigna, we had a $5,000 deductible. So, you know, I know I made the comment about, you know, sometimes you try to help people, keep them from making a bad decision, but, you know, it's their health care. Everybody's situation is different. And when you're letting the person make the decision, the more options you give them, it's just a you know, better opportunity for them to match their health care with their family situation.
And that's the rationale. It's their health care. And we don't know all the situations people are in, why they choose what they choose, but it's their health care. And if they're going to pick up some of the costs, they should have options.
And I think the rules, Natalie, still are in play that you select a deductible, that's your deductible for the full year of the policy. You don't get to say, oh, I want to change my deductible because I've had a health issue come up.
That's correct.
But with annual enrollment, they could change their option
The next,
next May.
yes, when open enrollment comes around again.
Unless you have a life-changing event, such as marriage, child being born, those are life-changing, or divorce for that matter. Then you get the options to make some changes.
That's correct.
Well, Jack, just to mention something that you asked county manager, and maybe she can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm not mistaken, we have about 84 employees. Does that sound correct or close to it?
Close to full-time.
So
Like 84 eligible employees.
Correct.
Roger.
I wouldn't expect that number. I wouldn't expect that number to change from 72. I mean, it may change, but I wouldn't expect it to go to 84. Probably would remain real close to the same.
And that was 67?
No, 72.
72.
Well,
Jack,
county manager, we're all over the board. We're all over the board here with ideas and dollar amounts. What is it going to take for us to make a decision as a board?
You just need to make a decision about, do you want to do the 80-20? And it sounds like maybe offer all 3 plans, but just determine the amount that the county's gonna pay. And if you say 80-20, then I'll have to, the budgeting side will be a little more difficult to maybe calculate. But we can, and then of course, when we get to the personnel policy, when we get to that discussion, we'll have to figure out, you know, we can change the wording of that section.
Okay. So we can move forward. Yes.
but before you want to move forward, I just want to ask a quick question, if I may, sir.
Sure.
We're looking at, three different amounts for employer paid, 774, 728, and 679. We're talking about giving county employees three different options for them to choose. So I wouldn't think that you would fund the 774.68. And I'm not sure on the 679.68. Do you set an amount, say 700, and fund that toward insurance and an employee pay the difference if there's difference? Or do you say 675? You know what I mean? Or 679.68 and let the employees pay the difference if they want option 2 or option 1?
So what you're saying is take the lesser, so you're basically telling the employee that if you take option 3, we'll pay the full amount. And other than that, if you select one of the other plans, we'll pay $679.68 of that plan.
Well, no,
Is that
you
what
said that. I was saying 723 or 679. But yes, that is the correct thinking. Yes, sir. If we wanted to go that route.
Mhm.
Because if we go with 723.68, and like you said, we don't know, or Dr. Riddick said, we don't know the, people's medical stuff. Somebody might want to go with the 679. I doubt somebody would take something less if we were paying more.
Right. Well, if we were paying the top amount and they wouldn't select the lesser plans because we wouldn't give them that difference in their pocket.
That is correct.
Yeah. So county manager, if we said that we were going to pay, I said 600 earlier, but if we did say 679.68, we wouldn't use the terminology of 80-20 sharing. We would just use a dollar amount, correct?
Right. Wouldn't we say that we will pay for the basic plan, because that's more basic? Is that, and these all two are more, I know in the school system, we had the basic plan and the advantage plan.
Right.
Right.
We would pay for the basic plan, that would be option 3. But if you go to either 1 or 2, but that would be they would make the,
Their decision.
we make up the difference. Instead of getting into precise numbers.
Okay. Let me see if we can, county manager, if you'll hear me out on this. Sounds like I don't hear a lot of opposition to sharing the cost with the employee. I don't hear any opposition on that. So if I were to make a motion to address the way Ms. Hoffler stated it, I believe might be the best way to state it. Would you want me to say basic plan, or would you want me to say option 3?
You can say, and whatever, I look at these documents that I have, I'll know it's option 3, and we can label that option 3, basic plan, and then like you said, basic, advanced, and gold or something.
Okay.
Advanced plus or whatever. Right.
Okay. All right.
So the motion that you're entertaining, let me get it right, is that 679.68, that is the basic plan.
That is the basic plan, and the amount that we would be paying. Now, Natalie, I know that in some refinement that could change 42 cents or $2.11. We can handle that with that motion, right? Because we're saying basic.
Right.
You just use the term.
You follow me? Yeah, right.
And then
So,
you just say this will cost you so much money per month extra, from your paycheck. Yes. But you'll just, that way you change terminology every year. You go basic or advanced.
okay. And I And I'm open to, my motion is open for scrutiny. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on this matter.
Commissioner Owens making a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on our health renewal options for July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. That motion being that the county will elect to share the cost of the premium with the employee, and that the county will pay for the basic plan. And if an employee chooses to purchase what we'll call an advantage plan, or a plan with more options, better options for them, that the amount for the basic plan will be applied to the decision.
And subsequent difference.
Yes, sir.
Is that motion understood? The basic plan under this motion is $679. We're calling it a basic plan, and then there's two other options for advantage plan, and those would be borne by expenses by the employee. Is that understood?
The difference in those, from the basic plan, the difference in cost would be borne by the county employee.
That's what I understand.
Any discussion, comments, concerns?
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion, and I do have a couple of questions for the county manager when it's opened up for discussion, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, there's a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, aye?
Yes,
Sorry.
she has questions.
Oh, you have questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you for remembering me, Mr. Chair. Natalie,
Yes.
you got that spreadsheet in front of you that we've been talking about for 2 or 3 minutes. What Commissioner Owens just made the motion and I seconded, 679.68 times 72. Now my calculator says 48,936.96. But I'm looking at this sheet and it says 53,139.96. What am I doing wrong?
That is because and I can't find, I was looking for that email and I don't see it. There is a cost that's associated with Pierce Group that used to be a flat rate, and because of the increase, they've changed it to it's still a flat rate, but now it's per person. So therefore, the amount we pay Pierce Group has decreased actually from what we were paying them. And that's where the 679.68 comes in. And if I can find that email, I'll forward it. And if I can't, then, and maybe Christy had printed it and handed it to me, but I will send that to you. That explains the price or how it's associated with what the price is for Pierce Group.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to do math and I was not understanding my math.
So when we look at that sort as a handler's cost?
Yes.
And that's on each one of these.
Right.
Figured in.
Does that change the motion at all? Motion stands as it is. All in favor of the motion, aye?
We got to do by each individual.
No, you can do it like that. It lights up when it's.
Okay, got you. I'm sorry.
Aye.
All right, all in favor, aye? And
Aye.
Aye. Aye, Mr. Owens.
All ayes? All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, that was B. Is that right? County Manager?
Yes, sir, they were back on track with the public hearing.
Okay. So now we go to public hearing, is there a motion?
Made so moved.
The motion-
Jonathan seconds.
the motion public hearing by Commissioner Hopper and seconded by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign, here none, all in favor. We will now stand in public hearing.
I would like to, as a reminder, say that if you vote to repeal this ordinance, you must approve the personnel policy as I stated earlier, or there will not be any sort of personnel policy or rules for the county to operate by.
Is that understood?
I see it right here in her notes. Thank you, Natalie.
All right, is there a motion?
Come out of public hearing.
Oh, we still a public hearing? Well, I guess there's no comment in public hearing, right?
I make a motion to come out of public hearing.
So we in and out. There's a motion to come out of public hearing
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? Unanimous vote. Now stand out of public hearing. So now is there a motion to repeal the personnel orders?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
this is Jonathan, sir.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Jones.
We just discussed health renewal options and the confusion of not really confusion of, not being in the same place. But I would like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, that this item be tabled until our next meeting. And I'll put that in the form of a motion.
All right, then
Would that be face-to-face meeting?
we'll note that.
Mr. Chair, I will amend my motion. If that is okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like for this topic to come up at our next meeting where we're all able to sit at the same table that you and Commissioner Hoffler are currently sitting at. So our next face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to provide a date. That's what Melissa provided clarification. You have to provide an exact date or we have to run the ad again.
So since we've already had the public hearing, if we bring it back up, we would have to have another public hearing.
Yes, you've had the public hearing, there were no comments, so you have to take action or table it until X date. You have to provide the date.
So if we provide the next third Wednesday at 6:30 PM, and then we're still on Zoom,
Then you
we could do
provide-
that. We could do that again, right, Natalie?
Yes, that's May the 20th,
May 20th.
yes.
So Mr. Chair, my third attempt at making a motion, sir,
Yes,
will
sir.
be that this item be tabled until our May 20th regularly scheduled commissioners meeting at 6:30 PM.
There's a motion on the floor to continue this until May 20th at 18:30, 6:30 PM. Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
I do have a comment. There are things in this personnel policy that could affect the budget. Just to make you aware, so that if at the May 20th meeting, if I present you with the budget, if this personnel policy is passed, there will need to be corrections made to the budget.
Okay, hearing that, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I didn't say, I was just getting ready to, I was just trying to put myself in.
Is that an aye?
Yes.
And aye. All in favor, so unanimous vote. All right, so May 20th, we will, look at it again.
Let me ask you this, how long do you have to advertise?
You don't have to advertise for May 20th because you set a date.
Okay, got it. I was saying we might know something about the person that we were talking about the need.
We need to strive, Mr. Chairman, we need to strive to do our best to close this topic at that May 20th meeting, sir. Thank you.
Very well put, sir. I'll heard that, so we, give us an opportunity. Thank you. All right, under new business, March utilities.
Yes, if you remember, there was an email that I sent asking for the board to agree to not disconnect water in March, charge any sort of fees, and it was by consensus through various emails. I would just like for a formal motion to be made and approved since that was done. Of course, effective in April, it was by the governor's executive order. But
We just need to address March, Natalie. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And for once, I think it's appropriate to say that Gates County was ahead of the state per se. We initiated that before the governor did, across the state.
Good.
Melissa, how does that motion, I'm happy to make that motion. How does it need to be, Melissa or Natalie?
All you need to say, Jonathan, is that you make the motion that Gates County did not disconnect water during the month of March, nor will there be any fees, including late fees and penalties associated with those bills.
So the motion needs to be that Gates County will not disconnect any water for March late payments, nor assess any late fees.
Will not disconnect nor assess any fees.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that for March, that we not do any disconnects or did not do any disconnects and not assess any fees.
From
Late fees.
Yes, any fees, that's correct.
From March.
Second.
For the month of March.
Just for the month of March, so we're gonna designate 01 March until 31, I believe 31 days in March, is that correct? So,
That is covering the initial one that I had sent the email about way back, because then the governor's part took over, right, Natalie?
So it just needs to say for the March bills.
okay.
Gotcha.
Chairman, I'll
Yes,
second that motion.
So the motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign, hearing none. All in favor? COVID-19 updates?
Billy had planned on being here in some form or fashion, but he ended up having to go out on a search and rescue call.
In Gates County?
I don't know, he contacted Melissa. As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, Albemarle Regional Health Department said there had been a total of 55 confirmed cases for the entire 8-county region. 20 are still active, 33 have recovered, and there have been 2 deaths. There were 4 active cases in Gates County, and they have all recovered. The health department, of course, is still encouraging everyone to social distance, stay home, follow all of the governor's guidelines and such. From the county's perspective, the majority of employees are still working. The GITS part-time employees, some of them are eligible to file for unemployment because the ridership has gone down and they are working reduced hours. If they file for unemployment, it is not to be charged to the county. So we have told them, if you want to file for unemployment, please do so, because we know, for example, one person had been averaging 75, 80 hours a month, and last month that person worked, I think it was 35 or 40. So that has impacted GITS, which of course has impacted their user fees. PPE has been provided from the state. It's coming in bits and pieces. It has been provided to everyone at EMS. The social workers have been provided the appropriate gear. I know some have been given to the sheriff's office. A few other departments have asked for gloves or for masks, and they've been given that. The county is still open, but we are encouraging people to use the Dropbox, not just for water payments and tax payments, but if they have completed a permit application, they can put that in the Dropbox. DSS, if there are any people who have applied for any services and they have a paper copy, they can put that in the Dropbox. It needs to be in an envelope and says DSS on the front. There are 2 people who are checking the Dropbox hourly. So anything that says DSS, they don't look at, they put it in a pile, and DSS gets that. This permits, no one looks at that except for permits. And that's the way we are trying to handle business. We also are encouraging people to use the telephone to call in their payments. They have a WIP portal, so everyone has a PIN number that they can make a water payment. These are always options that are available every month. And then, of course, your payment. I did put a picture of the Dropbox on Facebook today. Today I heard, I don't know how many times, where's the Dropbox? So I took a picture of it and put it on Facebook so maybe some people could figure out where the Dropbox is. It's not something they use. And I think perhaps a few people have been coming in because they're tired of staying at home. And that's why they're coming in, they're not familiar with the Dropbox. But we are encouraging everyone to stay at home and use other options and call. If you do need to talk with someone in person because of your situation, please call before coming to make sure that that employee is there and also that they can socially distance while they talk to you. Because we do have some small offices and they might have to go to another location to meet that person to discuss whatever they need to meet. There is a letter that you do not have it. It came out last week. I know the chair is familiar with the discussion. And it is a letter to the Albemarle Regional Health requesting some information that can be shared only with dispatch and EMS that we are going to ask the chair to sign so that we can better protect our EMS workers. And so I'll leave that. I don't know if you want to take a vote. The chair has to sign it, I have to sign it, Billy has to sign it, and Pitt Robin has to sign it. This has been discussed, for a week or more between the health department and some county attorneys and county managers and EM directors.
And if I may add, I haven't read this yet, but this may be something to also limit the county's exposure to liability.
Right, that statement was taken out based upon the last information received from the health department and the attorney the main attorney who was writing the letter.
And I believe that attorney is in Pasadena County, is that correct?
Correct.
And it's, what it does, honorable commissioners, it limits the exposure for Gates County for liability primarily for the HIPAA concerns. But it's covered by general statute and HIPAA. Would you like me to read it, or do you feel comfortable with it? I just read it the first time.
Well, it's, sounds like it's just, the nature of it is an acknowledgement that we're been made aware of that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you'll spare us from reading it, that'd be great.
I agree.
Amen.
Would like to ask a question, Mr. Chairman, you or Natalie may be able to answer this best. Is there anything that we'd like announced that maybe the procedure for the Register of Deeds office, coming to the window at the sheriff's office, or going to the clerk of court's office? Any different rules there?
They're all the same that they have been for the last few weeks. You need to call before you come. The sheriff's office, I know they put up
A block.
some kind of block so they can't get to the window, but I think you could like knock on the window and run back behind the line because the curtain is sometimes closed to let someone know that you're there. Same with the Register of Deeds. Their office has a sign that says knock before entering. Someone will come, or knock, someone will come and help you. Same with the clerk's office. Of course, the clerk is also following the guidelines that the court system sends down. The courthouse is open. I know there was a call initially that someone was complaining about people going, too many people went in the courthouse. They had court that day. They are still having certain types of court. I even talked to Thomas Wood yesterday. He was in my office, and Thomas said that he's only been to court 2 or 3 times over the past 2 weeks, and they're only there for a very short period of time, but it's things that they have to be there for.
And just in addition to that, is all courts are open, criminal court, child custody, and what have you. So those courts do open. If there are cases that are pending, the people will know, and they'll be the only ones to show. So that's why the courts are running, even though there have been announcements that all the courts are closed. Those announcements are not correct.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
And like I say, all those other offices open, the clerk's office, and you'll see a blockade in front of the clerk's office as well. So there's no entering into the clerk's office. You have to stand outside and wait to be addressed.
And someone asked about Billy's search and rescue. It is not in this county. He went to a neighboring county to.
All right, any other comments? Madam County Manager, any commissioners? Any public comments that Melissa, our clerk's been made aware of? Or,
I think so.
and if not, any commissioner comments? And we'll start with, Commissioner Hopper, since she's the closest to us.
Thank you. Just like to say, I'm very proud of the job that our county employees are doing to continue to run the county, because services have to continue. I pray that they stay safe and follow the regulations of the governor. And I think our job is to try to make sure that we keep an eye on people in our community that might need help, especially those who are mature adults who might be living by themselves, that they might need some help, additional help, by either going to the grocery store or whatever, because they are not don't feel comfortable getting out themselves. So I think it's a time where we can step forward. It's a time that can bring out the best in humanity and let us be that instead of the worst in humanity.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopper. Commissioner Reed.
Just to stay home and stay safe. I'm proud to be living in Gates County, not so dense as Elizabeth City, so I'm working from home. I've adjusted to that. Even though I live alone, I wasn't alone, but now I feel like I'm lonely. So anyway, I don't see people in the mornings anymore or during the day, but nice to see your faces and hear your voices, Jonathan and Jack. But I'm proud to be in Gates County. We're doing a phenomenal job here, taking care of the citizens, our EMS people, your first responders. Y'all are doing a really good job, and I'm proud to say that, and they keep us all safe and aware.
Ron Harris, Commissioner. Commissioner Owens.
We are definitely living through something new, something we don't want to revisit again. But we're living in a historical period right now that'll be addressed down the road, and I am proud of the way Gates County employees and the way Gates County citizens are paying attention to social distancing. I see when I do go to the store, I see people paying strict attention to it, and they're to be applauded for that. Our numbers, we need to be proud of these low numbers of the cases that we've had in the county, and because everybody is behaving properly, that's why the number's low. So thank you, citizens, for doing that, and thank you, Melissa, for all the hard work that you put in for getting this Zoom set up for us. And I look forward to meeting with my colleagues face to face real soon.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Melissa, for setting this up. It's unprecedented times, and what I think Commissioner Riddick offered to have the next meeting at her house because she missed everybody or something, and we'll Zoom from Commissioner Riddick's house. Look forward to it.
All right, then. I'm the Zoom queen,
I got you. Everybody have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. The only thing I'd like to add is please keep safe. It is, as has been mentioned, very trying times, but I am so proud of Gates County and the way our citizens have acted, the way our businesses have supported not just our citizens, but many folks coming from Virginia to shop in Gates County for items they cannot find there. And that says a lot for Gates County to me, and should to us. And our businesses may not be large businesses, but they have continued on with all the items that are being shopped for. So I want to thank those businesses, thank our citizens, and we appreciate the comments that you send to us and the concerns that you send to us. So thank you, and good night.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
One last thing. I would like to thank, I don't know if Warren had his hands in this, but not forget Warren also, or just Melissa. But if I can, Mr. Chair, can I make a motion we adjourn, sir?
Certainly, madam. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
If none, we adjourn, stand adjourned. Thank you.
If you don't mind, sign that.